Hey YouTube, welcome back to the vlog, and this is Hetflix number 100. A huge, epic kind of watermark for us. When you first started doing the vlogs, we never thought about actually doing 100 of them. It's pretty awesome. And actually, just yesterday, we hit 100,000 Instagram follows. So thank you guys so much for following on Instagram, and we'll put that link up there if you haven't yet. So we're just so happy to be able to share this with you guys, and it's really, really epic that it's lasted this long, and we've been going for this long. And honestly, we'll probably do about another 100 in the next year, and can't wait to share number 200 with you. So for this episode, we have a really, really epic clutch, and it just worked out perfectly. The universe knew we needed something really, really cool to show for the 100th episode. And I hope you haven't seen the thumbnail yet, because that's a little bit of a spoiler, but we're gonna look at an epic clutch cutting, a really big surprise. We got a double recessive out of a clutch, out of the blue, had no idea, and it's really, really fun to follow along. So let's jump in there and check it out. So we're gonna start with the parents of the clutch. They're really, really cool. So this is Orange Dream, Enchi, Yellowbelly, Pied. And it's also possible genetics, extremely bright, especially for an adult. And look at this, it has the little smiley face in it. That was such a special animal when it hatched. Really, really, really cool. So yeah, just a nice, really, really solid. She was actually one of the very first OD Enchi Yellowbelly pieds in the world, if not the first. And she turned out just great. We finally got a clutch out of her. So let's look at the dad and we'll go from there. So here's the dad. This is Orange Dream, Enchi, Vanilla, Hurricane, Het pied. Really, really, really cool boy. We made him a few years ago from a hurricane we got from Hans, a really, really awesome snake. And I'm excited about using this male this year is because it lets me put vanilla into a bunch of different stuff. And we're kind of keep it away from the fire in some of the clutches, just so we can have some really nice, proven vanilla things. It's a great gene. And eventually we'll start doing more and more with it. But yeah, this is the dad to the clutch, and we have an awesome, epic clutch cutting for you now, and we'll check that out. There's a little bit of trepidation in my heart, you know, just being that we just had such a heartbreaker on the last one. But I really expect that these will be just fine, and it's just some kind of weird fluke with that clutch. But let's get into it and see how these babies look. I'm cutting these a couple days earlier than the last ones just because I want to see that they're fine and there's no issues. And the first baby looks perfectly normal and good. And that looks like a Hurricane Enchi Vanilla, probably. Not pretty, but it's a Het pied. We should get half pieds and half hets. That is a really cool looking het, and that one is not, I don't think that one is well. Something looks, it looks that, or it just has crazy genetics. And I just make sure it's wiggling in there, make sure it's alive. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, I just see here, I'm noticing a couple things. First of all, I see the yolk is really far off here to the left, which means I probably didn't rotate the egg veins up as much as I probably should have. And then I see the umbilical cord, the main bunch of cords crossing the body here, which can cause problems, but usually is fine. That animal is almost like xanthic looking. It's so light. Purple. Yeah, really neat. If that comes out that way, then that's very, very cool, exciting animal. That could potentially have almost all the genes. This is a pied of some sort. Wow, that's beautiful. This looks fine. I don't see any issues with this animal at all. No concerns. It's got a lot of orange here, over here on the side. Probably not gonna show up on camera. I'll turn it a little bit. Wow. I bet that is Hurricane, OD, possible Super OD. It could be Enchi, but it's actually a pretty high white pied, so I'm thinking maybe not Enchi. We did have Enchi on both sides of the pairing here, so most of these should be Enchi. There's another really gray one. Wow, what's giving us this gray, I wonder? You know what? I almost wonder if we've just hit on the xanthics that we've been running in my pieds, because I have an xanthic line that's been mixed in my pieds for a while. Every so often, I'll hatch some xanthic pieds. Both these animals are from my lineage, so I wouldn't be surprised if we actually are hitting on xanthics. So both these would be xanthic Het pieds, right? But that looks like Super OD or Super Enchi, xanthic maybe, Hurricane Vanilla or something like that. Honestly, when I saw this one, having in my head from the last clutch, I thought it's underdeveloped, maybe dead, right? But it's moving fine, it's solid, it looks good. And then you have another one, tells me it's probably axanthic. Because sometimes if they die early on, they'll die before the colorations come in and they'll look axanthic, but I think we're actually onto something here. If we get a third one, I'm kind of confirmation, but it would be head to head, so it would be only 1 in 4 axanthics anyways, but that's a very high white pied. I'm looking for some pattern. No, actually it's got a lot of pattern on there. Look at that stripe on the back. What? That's axanthic? Okay, it's axanthic, but it's because of the lightning genes in it, like vanilla, super Enchi, the axanthic part of it is almost the same color, it's almost white. Right, so all you're getting is the lines in the saddle. That's awesome. It's the first time in about 2 years, I think, that I've hit on my own axanthic pieds again. So the cool thing is we can now mark these animals as hets, and then their babies will be possets. This one's not axanthic. It has a beautiful pied, I think. It's heavy. No, actually, this is a het pied. It's got tons of pattern, but when you stack on tons of genes in the het pied, look at all that pattern. A lot of times the white comes so far up the sides, especially towards the tail where you have ringers, that it makes them look like kind of like false pieds, and that is a very nice animal right there. Okay, so takeaway from this clutch, awesome axanthics, killed it. The only one I'm concerned about as far as health goes is this one, and it's just because the cord, I think, looks fine otherwise. And again, we've kind of proven that last clutch was just a one-off to that clutch. So really happy with these. That's exciting. And the cool thing is we have a lot of other babies coming from the same male. So now we're going to be able to say all of those are axanthic, or 50% head axanthic, all future babies that we have coming. All right, so what a huge shock it was to see these awesome axanthics come out of this clutch. And I hatched so few axanthics that it's such a special thing for me and so unusual. So let's look at how they look out of the egg, all shed. They've all had one meal. They're so cool. All right, so here's the 2 axanthics that came from the clutch that weren't pieds, and they're absolutely insane. This one's a little worked up on us here, so maybe biting us, but so I don't hatch a lot of axanthics, and honestly, I think they're incredible, but I kind of steer clear of them because in my mind, it's like taking away one of the dimensions. Like you have color and pattern, and you get the most stuff by combining both. And you take away one of those by making it axanthic, but they're just so cool to see them all desaturated like that. But we're trying to ID them. I think that this one we have is OD Super Enchi, possible Yellowbelly, axanthic, 100% het pied. And then this one I think actually has the Hurricane in it. I think this is actually right here the exact same combo with the non-axanthic. So you see color versus no color. A little bit of a banding difference, but you see these are both Hurricanes, I believe. They both have the kind of the hallmarks of the Hurricane is kind of the mixed up pattern where they just have a little bit of a kind of a crazy pattern. The holes in the alien heads are kind of a different color and they're kind of fuzzy. And that's what we're seeing here in this as well. And then the major thing, when you add enough genes into Hurricane, it becomes kind of hard to see some of the pattern disruption. But they always have these really kind of low slung eye stripes. They're kind of narrow inside and far to the side of the head there. So these two I think are OD, Enchi, Vanilla, Hurricane. And this is axanthic and this is posset axanthic. And so, but it's so cool to see the color next to the black and white. So let's check out the next one. So this is probably the prettiest orange dream we've ever made. Honestly, it is Super OD, Enchi, Yellowbelly, Vanilla. And I don't think this one has Hurricane in it. It is so bright and so intense, just perfectly saturated there, especially if you look on the belly there towards the edge of the tail and everything. Such intense color. Really cool. And again, this one will be het pied and 66% axanthic. All right, and the last two are the visual pieds, and look how crazy these two are. So this one I think is Orange Dream, Enchi, Hurricane pied, I think. Kind of hard to tell, but the Enchi, usually gives this kind of bubbly look on the back, although it's not super low white. It definitely has the Hurricane look in the eyes there and the disruption of the pattern, and then of course it's very orange. So we'll see a little bit of that over time, but that is a Pied 66% het exanthic. And then this is the double visual, double recessive when I didn't expect it at all. And it is so cool because the saddles are so light that you really can't see the difference hardly between the saddle and the white of the pied. It's completely there, but the exanthic has taken away all that saturation. So really what you see is just the two black tram lines, you know, like from the typical saddles of a pied. They're coming through nice and clear. I think it's OD or Super OD, Enchi, possible vanilla, of course, exanthic pied. Super, super cool. What a cool variety to see all the desaturated black and white next to the visual colors. It really makes you appreciate the black and white when you can see the full color next to them. All right, that's it, guys. It's super, super cool to do this again, to hatch some exanthic pieds out of the blue, and now they're not completely out of the blue because now we can mark those parents as being het, and we can also take some of their offspring from previous clutches or previous years and like mark them now as possible het. So suddenly it's not just about the clutch you hatch, it's about all the cool things now that changed when you look at all the offspring down the road. So it's super, super neat and super exciting, and it just shows there's just a lot more to do out there, and there's a lot more to these animals than we know. All you have to do is put the right ones together and you might just get an incredible surprise. So thanks so much to the patrons. I appreciate all of you guys. Be sure to come back for Hetflix number 101, and happy 4th of July. Hope you have a great weekend with your family. Talk to you next week. Okay?